Going on? James here. I think, yeah, we're officially live here. We are doing a new pre-game live stream here on the YouTube channel, but I am not alone in this pre-game live stream today. Joining me from the Cannon Fire podcast, you know him, you love him, it's Evan. Evan, thank you for joining me on this live stream today. We usually do pre-recorded videos together, but now it's a live stream. So how you doing today, man?
I think I was on with the draft live streams. This is, I think, my second live stream that I've been on with you, and yeah, glad to be on.
Absolutely, man. So, as it says in the title, right, this is a pre-game live stream. We're going to be talking about certain things that are going to be going on going into the game, right? We're going to be talking about inactives on both sides. We're going to be talking about storylines for both teams going into this game. And yeah, we're excited to have all of you here along for the ride. So, Evan, let's not waste any time, right? This is the first taste of Buccaneers football, regular season football, I guess I should say, in over 7 months. I guess, technically it was playoff football, when that was. But this is football that matters, right? Okay, that's my point. This is the first bit of Buccaneers football that matters that we are seeing here in over 7 months. How do you feel? I mean, I, for one, am absolutely pumped, and I know you got to feel a similar way, man.
Yeah, I mean, football is the start of football season. I think is one of the most exciting times of the year, right? It's literally like Christmas, and yeah, normally the Bucs are not in it, right? Normally they're not playing in this game. Normally we're not having this pregame of the opening of the season, not just the opening of the Bucs season, the opening of the NFL season. So that's always exciting just to have football back. But when you're talking about, it's like a bonus that you're covering the Bucs pretty much, because there's so much excitement and expectation for this team that you just want to see more and more of it. You want to get all the content you can out of it. Just you want to be able to watch them highlight clips over and over and over again. And now it's finally here. It's finally back. Not just the Bucs, but football in general, man. Sunday when you wake up, there's gonna be a full slate of games coming out, man. It's incredible. We've finally made it.
It's like Christmas, man. You wake up and you just get all the presents, right? The presents being the football games that are being played. So we're both excited about it just because of the content that we're going to be making and just getting back to discussions, right? That's the fun part for me. That is the fun part for me, is just having these discussions like what we're doing right now, right? And just sitting here and talking about some Buccaneers football. It feels oh so good again. Like you said, it is the start of the 2021 regular season, not just for the Bucs, not just for the Cowboys, but for every team in the league. There are going to be plenty of football games coming up this Sunday, and that's going to be the case here for the next couple of months. So everybody get excited because football is here, and I am able to see the chat here. We've got Christopher Ryan, Jonas saying what up, Kieran, Miguel, Matt, Hepker, Donnie, Brandon, Adam. We got a couple of mods in here, just saying. Good stuff. Welcome everybody in here. Brandon saying, just ordered me some pizza and wings. Hope the primetime curse doesn't affect us. LMAO. Well, I will say this, you can't go wrong with pizza and wings. But one thing I do want to talk about here going into this upcoming game, Evan, is a big piece that the Cowboys are missing on the offensive side of the football. And we will talk about inactives for both teams here in a little bit. But the Cowboys are missing Zach Martin, and that's a huge deal. I know that you guys have talked about it on the Cannon Fire podcast. We've talked about it here on the YouTube channel, and it's something that's worth talking about. Ezekiel Elliott came out and said, oh man, we're missing our best player, essentially. And that's a big thing for Ezekiel Elliott to say, right? So what are your thoughts on Zach Martin being out here for this game? A lot of people think that Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea are going to benefit massively from it. Me and you have talked about it as well. Again, just go ahead and give me your thoughts again on that situation.
Yeah, I think this could be a game where you could see a guy like Ndamukong Suh or Vita Vea really taking advantage of the situation. Connor McGovern is going to be filling in for Zach Martin, who Connor McGovern was a third-round pick in 2019. It is not the Connor McGovern that we all thought it was, right?
It wasn't the one that me and you had thought that was, like the 7-year veteran.
Yes, yes. This is the same exact spelling of the name, same exact name, everything. Everything is the same exact thing, but a different player. And I mean, McGovern didn't play horrible last year, but he had to fill in for Martin last year as well, due to some injury concerns. And he didn't play horrible, but Zach Martin is one of, if not the best guard in the NFL when he's playing. So there's gonna be a drop off there, and I think the Bucs are gonna take advantage. I think Zeke Elliott's saying that because he knows there might not be many lanes for him to run through. He's playing the number one rushing defense 2 years in a row, and he's about to do it without his best offensive lineman, and he knows that. So I think he knows he might be in for a long night. If the Cowboys want a shot to win, they're really going to have to air the ball out.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting thing to keep note of, specifically, talking about the Buccaneers secondary. We will get to that a little bit, but like you said, it's going to make Ezekiel Elliott's job harder, especially against a run defense that has been one of the top, if not the top run defenses of the past couple of years. That's a big guy missing, right? Big, huge piece for that offensive line. It's going to affect a handful of things as to what the Cowboys can do in the running game, and it's going to add a little bit more pressure on Dak Prescott potentially there, so pay attention to that. But that is something else that's worth mentioning, right? Dak Prescott's returning. He has dealt with a lot, right? And, dealing with injuries is one thing, but also having, mental struggles on top of that, it's a tough situation to be in. So I give credit to Dak Prescott for coming back from all that. Shoulder problems, ankle problems, all the other hurdles he's had to jump through. It's been tough situations for him. So what do you think about Dak Prescott coming back and how he may potentially do in this upcoming game?
I think it's really going to rely on early on what happens on their first 2 or 3 drives. Yeah, how many times does he hit? Does he start to get comfortable back there? That's a key to this game, I think. I said on the podcast, the Bucs can't let Dak Prescott get comfortable back there, because once he does, if he's comfortable and he's feeling confident that, hey, this injury thing is behind me, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, right? And he was on a historic pace. Obviously, I know it was only a few games last year, but he was on a historic pace last year before he went down with the injury. So this guy can sling it, and I just don't think you can let him get comfortable. As far as him personally goes, it's nice to see anybody back out there after a major injury. But I really want to know, where's his head at? Because not just with the mental health stuff, but as far as the injury goes, as far as the specific injury, maybe physically he's fine, but with a major injury like that, when you're missing that much time and this is your first action, a lot of it's going to be mental. When he drops back, is he going to be thinking about that ankle? Is he going to be thinking, if I step this way, it might shatter? Is he going to be a little bit tentative? Is he not going to want to step into as many throws? Will that affect the accuracy, or will that affect the strength of his throws and maybe lead to some turnovers? That's what I'm looking for here. As far as the Bucs go, the Bucs aren't worried about his past injury. They're not worried that it's his first game in almost a year. They're trying to get after him, and I think they have to.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said there. I think it will be an interesting thing to pay attention to with him coming back, because like you said, when he's healthy, when he's on, I think he's underrated. I think Dak is a very good quarterback in this league when he is fully ready to go, and with all those weapons that he does have at his disposal there, if he's able to get the ball out and not run into too many problems, could end up being a very high scoring game. But taking a look at the chat here again, Steven, hello, amazement. Has it cleared up weather-wise? Well, I can tell you it's been raining on and off here in my section of the woods of Florida. It's a little bit south of Tampa, so take that for what you will.
I will say, Greg Allman has had updates for those. Apparently, the forecast shows by the time it kicks off, there shouldn't be any real rain. So the field might be a little wet to start, but during the game, there's not expected to be much, if any, rain.
Perfect. Well, there you go. And then Simo says, what's going on with some of the people on the injury report that were supposed to play on special teams? Darden, Davis, Cooper, Vaughn. We'll talk about that in a minute. Builds. It's not that they are injured. They're inactive, and we will get to that list in a second. But one player who's out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Evan, we talked about Zach Martin being out for the Cowboys. The Bucs are missing Jordan Whitehead, and I made a video talking about that. Big opportunity for Mike Edwards. And I feel like they're two pretty different players when it comes to things
Mhm.
that they're good at. So, what are your thoughts on Mike Edwards getting that starting opportunity here tonight in absence of Jordan Whitehead?
Well, they definitely are two different players. I think in Jordan Whitehead, you have more of your old fashioned sort of hybrid strong safety. I think a guy who, when I say old fashioned hybrid, I mean kind of not a guy who's like a Mark Barron who's always looking for the big hit. That's what Mark Barron was always looking for. Not that type of player, but a player who can lay a big hit and plays more of that in the box, type safety role. And they are going to miss him. This defense uses him in a lot of different ways. But like you said about Mike Edwards, he's more of a true free safety, sort of more of a ball hawk. But I think the Bucs really like him. I know that for a fact. And I mean, in the limited time that he played last year, because he wasn't a full time starter, but he did get some reps, obviously, in the regular season. He looked fine. I mean, I think he can hold his own. Is it enough to keep the job when Whitehead comes back? Time will tell. We'll have to see how long Whitehead's out and everything like that. Hopefully, it's not too much longer for Whitehead. I mean, this is a guy who didn't play in the preseason at all. Participated in training camp for 1 week and then was done. So he's really behind the 8 ball right now. And hopefully Mike Edwards can step in, whether it's just for this game or it's for the first 3-4 games, whatever it may be. Hopefully he can step in and contribute right away. Maybe starting with an interception tonight. How about that?
That would be pretty interesting. Me and you have talked about Mike Edwards all throughout the offseason, right? All throughout training camp. He's looked so stinking good as kind of a ball hawk type safety. Like you said, his coverage skills, I think, are really good. Whereas Jordan Whitehead, it's not that he's bad in coverage. I think he's serviceable in coverage, but his main calling card is just he'll smack you one time. He'll pop you. That's kind of his main calling card. Whereas in the case of Mike Edwards, his is more coverage skills and coverage ability and whatnot. So that's going to be the difference there. I think it will be a little bit of an added benefit here to the Buccaneers pass coverage, which could be pretty useful here against Dak Prescott and pretty good passing game that the Cowboys may offer there. So we will have to wait and see for that. Mike Edwards could honestly get a very, if he capitalizes on this opportunity, it could open up a lot of doors for him throughout the remainder of the season. So let's wait and see what happens. But one thing that's going to be really interesting here is, a full season with the Buccaneers players, right, developing chemistry, especially on the offensive side of the football. A lot of people have been talking about that, Evan. Being able to go out there. Tom Brady spent a whole year with his offensive line, with his receivers. Now, Mike Evans even came out and said, oh my gosh, yeah, we're way better right now than where we were, last year. So what are your thoughts on all that? I mean, on the defensive side of the football, they were already pretty much there, right? But I think it was so much more crucial for the offensive side of the football. What are your thoughts on all that? Do you think the Buccaneers can be more efficient and more productive on offense this season than what they were last year now that they've had more time to gel?
Well, the simple answer is yes. I mean, we talked about how the defense, was a little bit ahead of the offense last year, and that's just simply because they brought pretty much everybody on the defense back from 2019, and it was, they're in the same system. It's not like they had to learn a new head coach's system or anything like that, or new defensive coordinator system. It was still Todd Bowles. It was still the same players. So, and on offense, they didn't change a whole lot besides the most important position on the team, which is quarterback. Which anytime you change your quarterback, there's gonna be some growing pains and some struggles, and those things take time. They just do. Combine that with not having a real offseason last year, having a kind of a training camp, and having no preseason, you expected a not very crisp start. And I mean, they played fine. Like the offense played fine. I would say in the first 6-7 weeks of the year, like you could tell when they started to hit their stride. I mean, so I do think just like the defense was a little bit ahead last year, and you could tell that they're familiar with it. I think this offense is not familiar with it, and especially Tom Brady. I think he's got it down pat. I think he's a smart enough player. He understands exactly what he wants from his receivers. His receivers understand exactly what he wants from them. I think a lot of this offense is a lot of option routes, which is basically there's a route that the wide receiver runs. But for example, let's say Mike Evans is on the outside. he has the option to either go straight up the field, or maybe he can turn up around the middle of the field if he chooses, depending on what coverage he sees. Last year, that wasn't something that they had down pat, right? And that was an issue, and that caused some turnovers. I believe in the first Saints game, the first game of the year, the first Brady interception was on an option route where Evans just didn't really run the right route. This year, I would expect those mistakes to be cleaned up. They know where to be. They have great chemistry now. Everything helps with time, and I think they've got plenty of time now, and it could spell trouble for the rest of the league if they're hitting on all cylinders, because if this offense isn't beating themselves, whether it's drops or whether it's penalties, I don't know how you're going to stop them. Obviously, you got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. But if they're not beating themselves, I don't know how you're going to beat them.
Yeah, Gronk's healthier. I saw Steven talk about it in the chat. A lot of Bucs fans are very confident going into this game, by the way. So we'll definitely see, but there is reason to be confident, right? The Bucs offense, like you said, is in a phenomenal spot, right? With Brady developing more chemistry with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He already had some chemistry there with Antonio Brown. Brady came out and said that he's excited to have OJ Howard back in there. I think that, honestly, probably more so than the weapons, Brady being able to have that understanding with his offensive line more of what he wants, I think is the biggest chemistry to develop, right? Okay. I think that is going to be so stinking important and so huge for the overall success, because if you give Brady time, I don't care how old the man is. I don't care what you say about him. He's going to carve you up. I don't care what the defense is. He's going to carve you up. So that's going to be the biggest thing for me to pay attention to, is the offensive line's chemistry with Tom Brady. Now, I'm sure Tom has spent this entire offseason working with guys like Ryan Jensen, Tristan Wirfs, Alex Kappa, Ali Marpet, and Donovan Smith, saying, hey, guys, this is what I want you to do, and all those other different types of things that Tom Brady points out to the offensive line on certain plays to check for certain guys and all these other different types of things. That's what I think is going to be huge. And all the offensive line starters are back as well, which I think makes it so much more important. So I'm excited to see that. We already did talk about the Buccaneers offense versus the Cowboys defense. The Bucs offense is, has all the tools to be absolutely on fire, right? Evan, I've heard you talk about the Buccaneers defense in the past here. They've got some guys, but overall, especially in that secondary, big question mark there. I think that's safe to say, right?
Yeah, you mean the Bucs defense or the Cowboys defense?
Cowboys defense. What did I say?
Okay. You said the Bucs. I was like, okay.
Cowboys defense.
At first, I was like, yeah.
Bucs offense versus Cowboys defense.
They do have some pieces, like they do, but the issue is, their weak link of their team is the two things that you need to beat Tom Brady. They don't really have a consistent pass rush. DeMarcus Lawrence had a 1 or 2 really good years, but after that, I believe he's had 11.5 sacks in the last 2 seasons. That's pretty much average. I mean, in 2 seasons, 11.5 sacks, need more than that. So, I mean, Randy Gregory has been a non-factor for them on the other side, but getting back to that secondary, this secondary is just very inexperienced, and they have Trayvon Diggs, they have Anthony Brown, I believe, DeMonte. Oh, sorry about that. My camera's acting all up. The DeMonte KZ. It's a live stream, folks. That's what happens when you're live.
That's right.
The DeMonte KZ. There's not a lot there, and when you're going up against a guy like Tom Brady, who's gonna know like where to target, and especially it's not just he's like throwing a no-name receivers. He's throwing to a healthy Mike Evans, appears to be healthy Chris Godwin, a healthy Antonio Brown, healthy Rob Gronkowski, a healthy OJ Howard, Cameron Bray. Tough challenge, really tough. And like I said, the Cowboys have some solid pieces on defense, but I just don't think it's enough. If the Bucs don't beat themselves on offense, they should have no trouble scoring 30 plus.
There is one guy who's inactive for the Cowboys, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because I think it adds even more pressure onto this Cowboys secondary, but we will get back to that. Another thing I want to mention, we talked about the Cowboys defense, the Bucs defense, right? I think everybody knows what to expect from the front seven, right? Good run defense, hopefully some good pass rush in there. Levante David, Devin White doing their thing. And we talk about the secondary, right? And there is a lot of confidence for the secondary. I'm confident about the secondary, but you still got to wonder how they're going to do, right? How are they going to perform? They've got such a tough test here in this first game with that trio of wide receivers, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. They've dubbed themselves the Gravediggers. I'm not going to say that they're almost teetering on the line of overconfident, but I do want to get your thoughts on the secondary going into this game specifically, because I feel like I'm confident in them, and I know everybody in the chat is confident about them as well, but I want your thoughts on it, Evan, about what you think they can do against a pretty tough test here in week number 1.
Yeah, this is just as much as it is a bad break for the Cowboys defense. It's also not a great break for the Bucs defense. I think the Bucs defense is light years better than the Cowboys defense. I'm not saying a lot of people think I'm saying that the Bucs defense is bad. I think they're a good defense, but this is still a tough matchup to have your first game. The Cowboys trio of wide receivers is probably second or third in the NFL, I think, behind Tampa. Like I think they're just really, really good. And Dak Prescott, even if it's his first game in a while, right? Even if there's maybe some concerns, with his, in his head or with his injury, is he 100%? We don't know. We haven't always seen him much. You hear that he's 100%, but who really knows? Right. It's tough because there's still so much talent on that team, and talent will be able to overcome some mistakes. So if there's some small mistakes, talent will be able to overcome that. And I think the Bucs secondary, if the Bucs secondary plays well, I mean, this game won't even be close. Like if the Bucs secondary can blanket, the Cowboys receivers, if they can figure out a way to slow down Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, just contain those guys. Don't let those guys go off. I mean, this game will be over by halftime. It won't be close, but that's easier said than done when you're talking about this group of receivers. And I know everybody's like, oh, the Bucs defense. I get it. Like, I do. However, in the NFL, it's a passing league, right? The Bucs were not nearly as good against the pass as they were against the run last year. They're going to give up yards. This is a talent. This isn't some scrub wide receiver room that they're facing here. This is a very, very talented receiver room. And it's not a great week 1 matchup, but I do think they'll be up for the challenge enough. And I think that the front seven will also help them out a little bit by getting to Prescott before he can even throw the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just want to say, too, I love the confidence of the chat here, by the way. They have been going nuts, just saying Cowboys, trash. Offense, trash. Defense, trash. Bucs by 1,000, I appreciate the confidence, guys. That's what you want to see from the fan base here. Brandon, we're not sleeping on the Cowboys, but they're not passing 10 points tonight. See, there you go. I love the confidence, right, guys? But it is a fair thing to say that you can't count any team out in the entire NFL, in my opinion. The Cowboys could come out there and surprise some people. That's something
they're still professionals.
Yeah, that's something you shouldn't count out, 100%. And this is a good wide receiver trio. I'm not going to say they're the best in the league, but they're one of the best in the league. I think that they are certainly up there in terms of talent. So, I've seen people say, come on, the Bucs secondary isn't the weak link. It's not about them being the weak link. It's just about them having a really tough matchup. We'd be saying that about anything. If the Buccaneers pass rush was going up against one of the best offensive lines in football, we'd say, okay, well, let's see what the pass rush can do. That's just how it is. You got to pay attention to matchups. And right now, as it stands, the secondary probably has the tough, not even probably, I would say they do have the toughest matchup of the night. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I think so.
I was thinking of Ezekiel Elliott.
I just don't think, like, what's Elliott gonna do? Is he gonna receive a lot of the balls out of the backfield, like screens and stuff? Until somebody actually runs all over the Bucs, I will be convinced that, like, running backs just, like, going up against the Bucs, it ain't gonna happen. Like, it just, if you're actually running now receiving, that's different. If Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey, if they get all their receiving yards out of it, that's different. But as far as running between the tackles, if you're just trying to do that, I I just until I see it, until I see
Sure.
somebody go, for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game, or 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Until I see something like that, I'm just always going to assume that like the running backs is going to be a very little factor in this game.
Sure. So then, yeah, I think it would be safe to say that the Bucs secondary, just by default, has the toughest matchup.
And so there always has to be a weak link on something, right? If
Right.
the Bucs' weak link is their secondary, it's a pretty darn good weak link.
Right.
That's still that shows you how good this team is, right? If that is their weak link, that's that's a pretty good secondary. I mean it's young, but it's still pretty good.
Absolutely. So now we are going to go ahead and get to our last little bit here, Evan. I know we've got probably around 5, 10, 15 minutes maybe left. I don't know. We'll see. I do know that you got some places to be here before the game starts. So I do want to talk about the inactives on both teams right now, right? First, with the Cowboys inactives, because we're going to be taking a deeper look at the Bucs inactives. You got Will Grier. He's on the Cowboys now, no longer on the Panthers. Noah Brown, the wide receiver. Israel Makuamu. Israel M. Azura Kamara, Luke Gifford, Chauncey Goldston, and Malik Hooker. That was the guy who I alluded to earlier in this live stream. Malik Hooker, former starting safety for the Indianapolis Colts, and now he's on the Dallas Cowboys, and the guy's inactive. That's another blow to the Cowboys secondary here. I think that's safe to say, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I definitely think so.
Yeah, so I mean, aside from that, really nothing too crazy here for the Cowboys. A lot of what's expected. I know what people are going to say is, whoa, Zach Martin, he's not inactive. Does that mean he's going to play? I asked Evan the same thing. Evan, go ahead and tell them what you told me.
So if you're on the COVID list, you technically aren't active, but you also can't be inactive. Like you're inactive by default, basically. So technically right now, Zach Martin isn't even taking up a roster spot because he's on the COVID list. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, the illness list. I know you don't like to say it on here.
That's true. YouTube doesn't like me to say it on here.
Oh, it's in the descriptions, not necessarily in the video. I thought.
I never know with them. I never know with them. I don't want to find out.
YouTube, you are weird. All right. Penalize James for saying that you're weird.
No, wait a minute. But the point is, but back to Zach Martin.
The point is, yes, he's not playing. Okay, that's the bottom line. He is still on the reserve list. He doesn't even count towards their roster, so he's not going to be inactive.
Now, there is some crazy rumor I saw here in an article before we started this live stream. Jerry Jones, he's got a private jet. Okay, he just does. We know this. All owners do, I imagine. If Zach Martin can get the negative test, there's a rumor that Jerry Jones is going to get that man on a private jet, fly him in here, and by some way, shape, or form be able to get him active into the game. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's just a rumor. That's a pretty wild rumor at that. We'll see. I don't know. It's not going to happen.
Once the game starts, you can't do that.
Wouldn't that just be like peak Jerry Jones though? Like that'd be wild.
Try to pull something like that. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie The Replacements, but it's like when Keanu Reeves' character Shane Falco enters the game at halftime, the quarterback. They just have a new quarterback at halftime. That's not even on the roster. That's just, the second half comes out and the Zach Martin's out there and then the Cowboys offense just starts dominating.
Everybody's like, wait a minute, what happened?
Yeah.
But anyway, now on to the Cowboys inactives. You guys have been asking about it a little bit in the chat. And I also appreciate you guys giving me some tips here in the chat as well about saying, certain words, but it's fine. Also, hello, Thomas. How are you? Bucs inactives. You have Khalil Davis, Nick Leverett, Chris Cooper, Jordan Whitehead, which we had talked about. He's dealing with his hamstring stuff. Keshawn Vaughn, Kyle Trask, and Jalen Darden. So this means that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have elevated both jaydon mickens and Andrew Adams from the practice squad, and they are going to be active for this game. So first things first here, Evan, what do you think about all of these inactives? I know that there are some non-surprises there with Trask, Vaughn, Whitehead, probably Leverett. But Chris Cooper, Jalen Darden, and Khalil Davis, what are your thoughts on those three guys being inactive here?
Yeah, so real quick, the only one who is believed to be injured is Jordan Whitehead. He's the only person who is injured. The rest are, as far as we know, completely healthy. It's just you can only dress a certain amount on game days. As far as the Chris Cooper for Andrew Adams things go, I just think this is a case of the Bucs wanting to keep Cooper on the roster, but wanting the experience of a veteran in these early games. You don't want any real mistakes, any dumb rookie mistakes, and you want to try to prevent those as much as you can. So Adams, who knows the playbook, is familiar with the system, going to play on special teams probably tonight. Same thing with jaydon mickens and Jaylon Darden. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to look at it and be like, oh, why isn't Darden active? A lot of people don't remember. I believe Greg Allman pointed this out. Scotty Miller was inactive for the first few games of his career in 2019, his rookie season, and Tyler Johnson was inactive for the first 2 games of last season, his rookie year. So like it's not like very like strange to see rookie wide receiver like this be inactive because one, it is such a deep wide receiver room. You can only address so many. And two, like I said, he's a rookie. They know what Jaydon Mickens is. He's the safe bet. I knock on wood here, but like he rarely muffs a return. Where Jaylon Darden kind of struggled with that, he kind of did struggle with that a little bit in the preseason. I think Bruce just wants to make sure that everything's good. The first few games, doesn't want any rookie mistakes to cost him the game. Just wants to trust the veterans, and I mean, 2 pretty good veterans to trust, Andrew Adams and Jaydon Mickens, 2 guys who are aware, of their situation and the team. What was the other player that you said? The third player?
The third player was Chris Cooper. Oh, we talked about Chris Cooper. Khalil Davis.
Okay. I think that's just a matter. If they wanted to probably dress Pat O'Connor, they probably wanted to dress him, and then they wanted to dress Steve McClendon. It's another thing where you're trusting a veteran over a rookie. I'm not necessarily a rookie, but
Young player.
a younger player. So I think that's all that comes down to.
So to give answers to the chat, by the way, Jaydon Mickens will be the starting return man today. Andrew Adams will be getting some special teams work. Honestly, you could see Andrew Adams rotate in as a
Possibly,
safety.
yeah.
I mean, he's done it before for this team, and with this rule where you're able to elevate 2 guys from the practice squad to your active roster, I imagine whenever they got a guy, had to cut a guy like Jaydon Mickens, I'm sure there was some handshake kind of agreement that says like, hey man, you're basically going to be on our roster without, fully being on our roster. So just be ready for that. I'm not speaking for the organization. I have no idea. I'm just guessing, but you had to think something like that was going to be the case, right?
I'm sure that's something they've talked about. Yeah, that if you made it through waivers and you didn't sign with anybody else's active roster, that bring him back on the practice squad. And I'm sure he's pretty comfortable in Tampa, so I'm sure it's something they've discussed.
Yeah, and I mean more so with the idea of like, hey man, we're going to elevate you at certain points, so just be ready for that. You're basically going to be like the 54th guy on our roster here for this situation. So we'll see. Like you said, Mickens, he's a veteran, former special teams player of the week, been returning punts and kickoffs in playoff games for, the Jacksonville Jaguars, now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been around the block as a returner. He knows what he's doing. And I'm not knocking Darden, but point is he's very early on in his career at this point. And like you said,
sorry, James. The Bucs don't need Jaylon Darden right now to be this, this awesome player. That's the beauty of it, like their 2nd round pick and their 4th round pick they're inactive tonight.
Yeah,
they're inactive. Like they don't need him right now. Last year's 3rd round pick, Keshawn Vaughn. Whether you like him or not, he's inactive. Like they don't need him to contribute, and that's just a sign of how deep this roster is.
absolutely. And what I was gonna say was
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. In the case of Mickens, you're still in a win now mode, right? You need veterans who are going to go out there and be able to do the things that you need them to do. And, it would be nice to continue to develop guys by getting them live game action reps, but there will be plenty of time for that. He's on a 4-year deal. Use the veteran guy early when you can. Maybe they'll even bring back Mickens in a full-time capacity if they want to. Who knows? But Mickens, too, he's going to help out on coverages as well. Punt coverages, kickoff coverages. He can do those types of things. I haven't seen Jaylon Darden do that a ton. They were having Keshawn Vaughn do that. So it's almost like Mickens is covering for both those roles. in terms of being a returner and a gunner, that covers for Darden and Vaughn what they would have contributed for this game. Andrew Adams, he covers what Chris Cooper would have been doing, and also he can get work as a safety, probably going to be doing it at a little bit of a better job than what we would have seen from Chris Cooper, just because, again, like you said, that veteran type ability, and same thing for Khalil Davis with guys like Pat O'Connor and Steve McClendon. So, Evan, we're going to go ahead and finish off this pre-game live stream here. But before we do, I see the chat asking a couple of questions. Amazement asks, who's your guys' MVP for tonight? And let's go ahead and give that, and then let's go ahead and give our score predictions as well. For everybody watching this, by the way, thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciated. I expect to see all of you guys in about 30 minutes here for the, or actually, no, 20 minutes for the game reactions live stream here, so stay tuned for that, and hit the like button if you've enjoyed this pregame live stream and you want to see more of these in future games. But Evan, game MVP and score prediction, lay it on me, man.
Game MVP, real original. I'm gonna go Tom Brady. I know it's boring, it's the same old thing, but I just think Dallas isn't a good matchup for them, especially week one. They have a brand new defensive coordinator in there. They're trying to learn a new system, a lot of young players. Lack of pass rush and a suspect secondary, two things that are not good going up against Tom Brady, because you need both of those things to be formidable at least, and I don't really think Dallas is either one. So I think as long as the Bucs receivers don't have the case of the dropsies, or penalties aren't backing them up so much to where you literally just have to throw a screen pass or have to get a draw play, I think Brady will have no trouble tonight. As far as score predictions, I did my prediction on Cannon Fire Podcast, and obviously, Rhett and you were kind of close. I actually, both of you guys, I believe, had a double digit prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I did a little bit closer. I said 34-28 Bucs. I just don't think the Bucs offense is going to be able to be stopped tonight, and I think the Bucs defense might struggle a little bit. Like I said, this coming out of the gates, this is a tough matchup, and but I do trust. It's just a matter of me trusting the Bucs defense way more than the Cowboys defense. So I think the Bucs defense makes a play or two that the Cowboys defense just can't come up with.
Yeah, I got to agree with you a lot on there. In terms of my MVP, I was going to say Tom Brady, like you said, but I'm going to go with, I think, Devin White. Why not? Let's just go for Devin White. Let's say he has a phenomenal game. Maybe he gets a couple, turnovers for the Buccaneers defense, gets some great tackles. Maybe he is the sole reason as to why they're stopping Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going to say Devin White. Bold pick there. But in the case of a, score, I'm going to say 31-21. I believe that's what I said whenever we had talked about it on the Cannon Fire podcast. Can't remember off the top of my head. But, like you said, the Bucs offense, I think they're going to do a pretty darn good job tonight. I think the Buccaneers defense will be able to hold them a little bit more than what you said. I mean, it's really only a 3-point difference, I think, between our scores with the Cowboys, right? So it's not too big of a difference there. Just maybe they hold them to one less field goal at that. But just looking in the chat real quick, I'm seeing Antonio Brown, Levante David, Gronk, Vita Vea, that's a good pick. Tom Brady, a lot of Tom Brady's score predictions, or even Mike Evans is in there. 24-17 Bucs, 28-14 Bucs, 45-10 Bucs. There you go. Just a lot of different varieties of scores. Again, I appreciate the confidence in the chat there, guys. It really is an awesome thing to see. But Evan, we're going to go ahead and finish off this live stream. For everybody that is watching here right now, by the way, go subscribe to the Cannon Fire Podcast. We're trying to get those boys all the way up to 3,000 subscribers, and I know we can do it all together. With the power of our community, guys, I know we can get it all done together. Let us get those boys in the Cannon Fire Podcast to 3,000 subscribers. But, Evan, before we go ahead and finish off this pregame live stream, get ready for the, current game live stream. Do you have any final words?
Yeah, just, like you said, check out Cannon Fire Podcast on YouTube, and you can also check it out anywhere you can find a podcast. Also, a programming note, we will be going live almost immediately after the game, probably 10, 15 minutes after the game ends, we will be doing a live show, a live review show of the game, win or lose. We will be doing it. We'll be talking about it, and I hope to see you guys there.
Absolutely. I liked the way you said that too, in like a radio type voice. We will be going live. Like, that was good. That was good. I appreciate that. That's the type of stuff, man, that you get from the boys over at the Cannon Fire podcast. Let me, if you can, Evan, are you in the chat right now?
I'm not. I can be, though.
Go ahead and I might be able to pull. Never mind. I got it up here. So for everybody who is watching this live stream here, before you head out, I went ahead and posted the link for the Cannon Fire podcast YouTube channel there. Go ahead and go subscribe to them. Again, we're trying to get our boys to 3,000 subscribers. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this live stream. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you in about, 10 minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes. I'll see you in about 10 minutes. And we will be ready to go for Buccaneers versus Dallas Cowboys. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll see you in a few minutes. But as always, we'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. And go Bucs. Football's back, baby. Let's go!